To the exchange, the first working session of this week's NATO summit is underway, and there's more at stake for President Biden than usual as he works not just to tackle geopolitical problems, but also to prove to world leaders, American voters, and Democratic lawmakers that he's still fit for office. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi telling MSNBC's Morning Joe that Biden is beloved and respected within the party, but also stopped short of saying she thought he should stay in the race.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
She went on to say she encouraged her fellow congressmen to let the president deal with the ongoing NATO conference this week before publicly voicing their opinions. That was a little too late for Representative Sherrill, a Democrat from New Jersey, and Colorado's Michael Bennet, who became the first senator to publicly warn of Biden's inability to beat Trump. And not just politicians either. George Clooney writing an op-ed for the New York Times today saying, quote, "I love Joe Biden, but we need a new nominee." Joining me now to discuss is Kay Bailey Hutchison, former senator and former U.S. ambassador to NATO, and Heidi Heitkamp, former senator from North Dakota and a CNBC contributor. Really thrilled to have you both on board. Really appreciate it. Senator Hutchison, let me just start with you and what's going through your mind here. What do you think Biden ought to do?
Well, I certainly think that we need to get through this incredible 75th anniversary. I think we need to go forward. President Biden needs to make his own decision. I think all of the Democratic advisors are telling him that. And I think what all of our allies are looking for is unity in America and strength in America.
And so just take that a step further. I mean, the stakes are quite high. You know, we have the wars in Russia and Ukraine. We have Israel and Palestine, all of these various challenges to deal with. What would normally be happening this week with the U.S. president and versus what do you think is actually happening this week?
Well, I think they are all trying to pull together a united front of NATO, supporting Ukraine, making sure that everyone understands this is in all of our interests, that Ukraine win its own sovereignty, its freedom. And I think the strength of the message is that we are all unified. This isn't one country that is speaking, it is 32 countries, and America is the leader. And I think everyone is rallying around for that unity to show Putin we are not going away. And the sooner that is clear, then the sooner that war is going to end.
All right, Senator Heitkamp, I turn to you. I mean, when you've lost Clooney, it's over. Although there might be some personal, back and forth at play here, speaking of Israel. But in all seriousness, for the actor to put out a big op-ed like this, you know it's going to galvanize support and contribute to this groundswell. And even Pelosi's kind of not saying, oh, he definitely should stay in. Politico's now saying, watch her for next moves. I mean, this is pretty close to people lining up to say maybe it's time to rethink this here.
I don't know that it's everybody lining up. I think Kay's right. This is going to be a decision that only the president of the United States can make. He's going to decide whether he stays in this race. But what you're seeing is this idea that there isn't everybody rallying around that decision and saying, please go for it. There's a lot of external advice coming at him right now saying maybe you ought to rethink whether you stay in this race. And, you know, when you look at NATO, well, we elect not only the president of our country, but we elect the leader of the world. And obviously having them in our country, watching our media will raise a lot of concerns, I think, among NATO countries, because President Trump has a different attitude about the transatlantic relationship. And so there's going to be a lot of discussion, a lot of talk behind the scenes. But I think at the end of the day, if Joe Biden wants to be the nominee for president of the United States of the Democratic Party, he will be, but it will not be with the assent of every person who has been a good donor or a good Democratic loyalist going back a long way.
But what do you, so for instance, Senator Murray of Washington, who just a couple months ago was upset with those who suggested the president might not be totally with it and kind of called the White House to alert them to the Wall Street Journal's attempt to do reporting on this. I mean, came out yesterday with a statement saying, you know, we were not told the full story, and now we're seeing the full story of what's going on here. So, you know, a lot of people are looking back over the past year to his closest handlers saying, well, how much have you intentionally shielded us from the truth of what's going on and his fitness to continue to hold the office?
You know, there's a lot of trust that I think needs to be rebuilt between the White House and certainly the campaign and the Democratic Party. Whether they're doing that this week and whether they're doing it appropriately, time will tell. But at the end of the day, the Democratic Party sees a much greater threat in reelecting Donald Trump, who is a pathological liar and somebody who will dismantle our international alliances with the simple wave of a hand, than they do electing Joe Biden. So I think if Joe Biden decides to stay in this race, there will be a rallying around him and a huge effort to get him reelected.
Senator